We're just a couple days away. We'll get into exactly how many. I think you can do the math. But, Shep, on Wednesday, August 30th, is there any legitimate reason to be nervous about the game with Sam Houston at this point?
No. Back to you.
Topic two.
Back to the studio.
Back to the studio.
No. Legitimate reason? Absolutely not.
Illegitimate?
No. When the team is favored by 3 touchdowns, there's no legitimate reason to be concerned about the outcome of the game in terms of wins and losses.
Yeah.
Now, non-legitimate reasons.
Or illegitimate.
If you're a fan, and maybe this is just a me thing. Even if my team is favored by 50,
which the Chiefs sometimes are.
I'm always in the back of my head going, oh, it's probably just my luck that we'll be the team that'll, So there's that worrisome stuff that has no bearing on anything. BYU is the superior team.
Sure.
BYU's favored by 3 touchdowns. So legitimate reasons to be concerned? No. BYU's going to win the game. But there are things, like I said, if you want to worry about something, like I guess there's going to be people that if BYU doesn't score enough, they're going to be concerned.
What would be enough to you?
Honestly, if you're winning by at least 3 touchdowns, that's fine.
So if it's 21-0.
If it's 21-0, I'll take that in a second. Because number one, that means that the defense.
Yes, we will say the offense didn't score enough, though.
Yeah,
if that happens.
Yeah, there's no legitimate reason in my mind to be concerned about Sam Houston. And look, I realize that's bulletin board material for a lot of people. I can say that. Players can't say that.
Yeah, they're not. No,
they're not going to say that.
They respect Sam Houston and what they can do. Yet
they're
not going to speak openly if they feel that way.
Yes, this is a team that's coming into the FBS for the first time.
Yes,
this is a team that redshirted 15 players off of last year's roster in order to prepare for this step up in competition, and there's no legitimate reason for BYU fans to be concerned about this game. BYU's going to win this game and win it big.
Yeah, not winning and losing, right? It's just, is it a good enough performance to give us some inkling of what is to come, right? And then BYU plays Southern Utah, a team that it should beat by more than it beats the Bearkats. And then you go to Arkansas, which is perhaps the toughest game on the schedule. I would argue, at Texas, probably tougher. Maybe second toughest at Arkansas. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not legitimately concerned. I'm illegitimately thinking about, defense and can it hold Sam Houston specifically under, 17 or fewer points to me would be a good defensive performance out of the gates. If it happens to be 24 with a garbage touchdown late, well, I sure hope you got to the high 40s on offense. If BYU happens to go 50, 60, 70, if that's in the cards, great. But also, you don't want to show a ton either.
Yes.
It's game one.
You're going to be very vanilla.
If BYU is able to get a large lead late in the third quarter, get the starters out of there because you need Keaton Slovis and Aiden Robbins and Eddie Heckard and all these guys for the long haul. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm, frankly, legitimately concerned about, Shep, is whether BYU fans will actually remember to wear royal or white, depending on which section they're in, to stripe the stadium. So if you're in section 45, you got to remember that you got to wear royal blue. Or if you're in section 26, you're wearing white, okay?
See, I need to remind my family they need to be wearing white.
If your family's the reason it's not completely striped, I'm going to be so mad.
I just want to tell you where they're sitting.
It happened in 2012 against Hawaii. I want to say BYU did the stripe, and it looked really cool.
It looked awesome.
I don't doubt that Cougar fans will do that. But don't be the guy or girl that wears orange, which is Sam Houston's color. In 1996.
There'll be some hunters that will show up to the game.
It's hunting season, baby! In 1996, a 12-year-old version of me just wore a shirt to the game against Texas A&M. Just wore a shirt. It just happened to be maroon.
But what were you
thinking?
What
an idiot!
Why were you not even at the age of 12
Why did no
aware?
one with me say, Jarom, you're an idiot. Wear a blue shirt or wear a white shirt.
Because they knew that you should know better.
That I was an idiot. That was my second home game at BYU.
You should know better than that.
Should I have? I don't think I've learned much since then. But we know this, that BYU plays Sam Houston in how many days?
Countdown to the Bearkats.
3 days away. Still waiting for Dave McCann to sing.
Why won't he sing?
Didn't sing yesterday.
Is he like Jerry,
Dave?
who refuses to run? Dave refuses to sing?
That's one of his things.
Yeah.
Blaine, you can't get to stop singing off the air. That's a true fact.
Very good tenor, by the way.
Excellent tenor.
Yeah.
may see him in BYU Homecoming Spectacular at one point. You never know.
All right, topic number 2.
Yes.
Yesterday was roster cutdown day in the National Football League. All teams had to trim their rosters to the league-mandated 53-man active roster. And that brings us to the stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
After roster cutdown day, 14 former BYU players made the 53-man roster. So first and foremost, congratulations to all those that were able to make it. Those guys include, to nobody's surprise, Fred Warner of the 49ers, Zach Wilson of the Jets, Taysom Hill with the Saints, Jamal Williams also with the Saints, Tyler Algier with the Falcons, Jaron Hall, Puka Nacua, Brady Christensen, Blake Freeland, Sione Takitaki, Kairos Tonga, Dax Milne, Michael Davis, and Chris Brooks. Any surprises for you?
Chris Brooks was a surprise as an undrafted guy to make the 53 on a good team. Dolphins aren't tanking to where they're like, yeah, we'll just take like what Arizona looks like they're doing at quarterback. I don't know. Chris Brooks making the 53 was awesome. Did we undervalue this guy last year? This guy just made an 53-man NFL roster and averaged 6.3 yards per carry. He was better than you think. That's awesome. Congrats to all those guys. I'm not surprised by like Puka making the Rams. He's I think BYU's best receiver ever in terms of his upside in the NFL. Austin Collie still holds that, but like Puka could get to that. Some offensive linemen. When I look at this, 8 of the 14 are skill position players.
Right.
Taysom Hill being a hybrid. You have 2.5 quarterbacks, if you will, in the league. You have 3 running backs. That doesn't even include Tyson Williams, who could make the practice squad with somebody and be in the mix as he has the last couple years. It is incredible to see what BYU has done at skill positions the last few years. 2 receivers now in the NFL, which is awesome. Dax Milne continues to defy the odds, right, which is incredible. And then I would love for BYU to get more offensive linemen. You've got 1 D lineman, Kairos Tonga. BYU needs to be in the D lineman game. This defense takes a step up when they can do what Utah did with Kalani Sitake up there, which is get the Star Lotuleles and so on, that you have that tackle and that end that really make a difference. I look forward to that day, hopefully soon. Bummer for the 8 guys that got waived. Matt Bushman, Caleb Hayes, Zane Anderson, Chris Wilcox, James MP, Tomasi Lalule, Tyson Williams, D'Angelo Mandel. And then there are 3 free agents of note, Kyle Van Noy, Harvey Longy, Daniel Sorensen. We could see all 3, maybe 2 of those guys on rosters, who knows, depending on need. Kyle Van Noy not being on a roster at this point is pretty shocking given his talent. He's not retired. None of them have said they're retired. So we'll see what happens. But congrats to Chris Brooks. Looking forward to several practice squad guys who perhaps make a 53 during the season. Because Caleb Hayes had one of the better preseasons, according to PFF, of all players. So we'll see what happens. Remember, it was at this point that Taysom Hill got released by the Packers. Maybe a week or 2 earlier when they had earlier cuts. And then he goes to the Saints
immediately
and thrives.
picked up.
Who knows what the future looks like for those 8 waived guys.
Yeah, if there's any surprise, it would be Chris Brooks, and not because he doesn't have the skill set or deserve it. He absolutely does. Yep. It's just a numbers game, and you just never know. Anytime you're an undrafted free agent, immediately the odds are stacked against you because the team did not invest a draft pick in you. When push comes to shove, they're probably going to lean towards somebody that they invested a draft pick in to give them the roster spot. But it became more and more clear as we saw preseason continue that Chris Brooks was going to get a legit chance to make the 53-man roster. He scored multiple touchdowns in the preseason. He looked every bit the part of an NFL back, and we got to see that.
He has.
Yes.
He's always looked like a
100%. So awesome for him. The other thing that I think is pretty cool, when you look at the 14 players that are on rosters, all but 3 of them were drafted. The 3 that are in the NFL now that were undrafted, Chris Brooks, obviously, Michael Davis with the Chargers, and Taysom Hill with the Saints. Everybody else was drafted. And we talk so much about the importance of programs having the ability to tell recruits, we will put you in the NFL. And not just as free agents. Well, you have a chance when you come here to be drafted into the National Football League, and I think this is a great example of what we're talking about here. Not to mention, you're talking about guys who may be the best at their position. I'm looking right at you, Fred Warner, with the 49ers.
Fred Warner, absolutely. 9 of the 14 are Kalani recruited guys. 13 of the 14 played for Kalani at least a year. So BYU's back in the NFL player business. There were a few years there where it was slim pickings, like 6 or 7 dudes. You were getting one every couple of years and in the draft and just making rosters to add to that group. Now BYU's got 14 in there with potentially more. Who knows? Again, with KVN and Harvey Longy and Daniel Sorensen and perhaps a guy in the 53 or whatnot. This is exciting. And BYU's in the quarterback game.
Yeah.
The last 2 starting quarterbacks for BYU are going to be backups on their respective teams. Obviously, Zach Wilson can take a backseat to Aaron Rodgers, but this is a good thing as we've chronicled. Jaron Hall looked really good in his last preseason game, which is exciting. Kirk Cousins is running the show there. But fans are excited about them. And then Taysom Hill, obviously, is a hybrid. He's perhaps the most unique player in NFL history in that regard. It's exciting to see where BYU's at because obviously there's a connection to success on the field at BYU with more NFL players. What BYU has done the last 3 years in going 29-9 is because you have guys like these. It takes an entire roster. It takes 50 of those 105 as well to really contribute. But we feel like next year BYU in the draft could have, depending on how things go, at least Kingsley Suamatia, first round hype with him, more on that coming up. Keaton Slovis, Aiden Robbins, will an Eddie Heckard get in the mix? Will any BYU linebackers be in the mix? What other offensive linemen could be right there as well from BYU in a Connor Pay or a Paul Miley or a Caleb Etienne or so on and so forth? This is really exciting. Get more talented. Get better starters. Get better backups. People are coming to BYU because they're seeing, like Aiden Robbins looks at Tyler Algier and Jamal Williams and goes, oh, yeah, that they produce NFL backs right now. 2,000-yard guys last year. So this is awesome. So congrats to those guys, especially Chris Brooks. And we look forward to the NFL season starting not this, but next weekend.
Well, and to reiterate what you said, obviously the cut-down day was yesterday. Had to be there by, I think it was 4 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah.
And so now all these teams will go through and there's an opportunity. And I can tell you, at least the talk in Kansas City is that Matt Bushman is going to be on the practice squad.
Oh, okay, let's go. As a Chiefs guy, you're following
So,
that.
I mean, that's what they're talking about
And this
there.
is our mood right now for Jamal and company.
Yeah, he's so great. You know, and that brings up something else that you touched on. It's not just getting in the league. Look at the guys that are getting – you talked about Taysom and the fact that he's utilized all over the field, was a starting quarterback for a while. Jamal was a starting running back. Now he's gonna work in tandem with Kamara.
Yes.
We talked about Fred Warner being the best, arguably the best linebacker in the NFL. We mentioned Michael Davis being an undrafted. He's a starting corner.
Like a 7-year guy in the NFL.
He's a starting corner in the NFL. So
Blaine
it's not
Fowler
just getting in there.
By the way, on that one.
It's also being utilized and being a key player on your team. But yeah, there will be a lot of players that we mentioned getting waived and released that will still have some good news to feel about because they'll be put on the practice squad at some point, probably today or tomorrow.